In this video, I want to share a secret that will actually make your breathing a lot easier. The inspiration for today's video comes from a question that one of my viewers asked. I always love when you guys come up with video ideas and ask me about things that you're struggling with so that I can actually be specifically helping some of you. So feel free to leave a comment with anything that you think would be helpful to learn about or anything that sort of is tripping you up in your practicing and making your clarinet journey harder than it has to be, and I will do my best to help you out. So this question was about breathing and air support, and about how when you're blowing through the instrument and playing with good air support, everything's really engaged and there's sort of a lot of muscles going on to get the blowing really nice and strong and get that good air support we want. But then when we breathe, we want to take a really relaxed, natural breath. So how do you do a quick breath when you have to go from like intense, strong air support to relaxed breath and then back to intense air support? How do you manage that change from intensity to completely relaxed back to intensity? Now I have two secrets that I want to share to sort of help out with this. The first one is that you don't actually always have to take that huge of a breath every single time that you breathe. To fill our lungs up completely to full capacity takes a lot of work. Even though it's a really relaxed breath, a completely full relaxed breath might look something like this. It's similar to a yawn. I've always heard that breathing, like if you're doing a good relaxed breath, it should be quite similar to a yawn, and I think that's true when we're trying to fill all the way up. So if you think that you had to yawn every single time that you were taking a breath, then that would be really big breath marks in your music and leave a lot of space, which often wouldn't sound super musical. So instead of trying to fill up all the way to full capacity in a relaxed way, focus on staying relaxed, but just take a quick relaxed breath. You can think of this sort of similar to a balloon, how our lungs work. So when we breathe in, the balloon of our lungs expands, and when we breathe out, it contracts. When we take a big full breath, it's expanding all the way to its like capacity, basically. And that takes a lot of time to get that much air in there. But when we're playing, we only need a little bit of air to actually be able to play well and get a good supported sound. So instead of playing in a way where you're depleting that air and then filling up all the way to full, which might be something like da, da, that takes a lot of time to breathe and is a really big change from going like all the way empty to all the way full. That's where it takes a lot of time and takes a lot of effort and change of energy. But instead, we can go to empty and then maybe just fill up a quarter or halfway. Da, da, da. And if you get really fast at doing that, it's less of a change of energy. You're still having to go from engaged to relaxed and then engaging again, but it's a lot less because we're not trying to fill up all the way. That's where things get cumbersome and get tricky when we're trying to like push our lungs to the limit and get as big of a breath as we possibly can. And that's important to do sometimes, but I reserve those like big full breaths for when there's rests or at the beginning of the piece when you have time to actually take a full, real big breath and get everything in. You can think of this similar to when we're talking. When you have to take a breath in a sentence, you don't talk, okay, now I'm completely out of air, now I'm gonna okay, now I can keep talking and finish the sentence. We breathe all the time when we're talking, but it's usually a really quick breath. The two lessons from that and actually how we breathe when we talk is, number one, that it's small, quick breaths. We aren't filling up to full capacity every single time. And two, we aren't going until we're completely, totally empty. We're saving a little bit of room so that we're maybe going down to like 25% and then filling to 50% and sort of living in that area rather than going like all the way down to zero and then taking a huge breath all the way up to 100%. So maybe that's the biggest secret here is instead of thinking about going like all the way to 0, all the way to 100, and then all the way back down to 0 when you're breathing, just make it a little bit more natural like when you're talking. So 10%, 30%, 20%, 50%, whatever it may be, whatever range you feel comfortable in, that's where it'll be easiest. Whatever we can do to make playing as natural as possible is what's going to make it easier, make it look more effortless, and make it a lot more fun for us as well. Now, the one other breathing secret that I want to share with you is a little bit more controversial, perhaps, is that maybe we don't need that much intensity when we're actually blowing through the instrument. If our equipment is set up and working really well for us, if our embouchure is being efficient and not getting in the way of our air, it doesn't actually take that much air to play. It does take a lot of air pressure, but I think a lot of the air pressure actually comes more from the tongue position and getting that sort of whistly like to the air. I'm not pushing super hard. If I put my tongue in a different position and didn't have my tongue doing the work to focus the airstream, then I would have to blow really hard and get like that. Takes a lot of effort, a lot of energy from my like diaphragm, from my lungs to get that going. But actually for natural playing, and again, making the playing as natural as we can, it doesn't take all of that much force from our upper body. The body is actually just there to stay nice and big and well inflated. And then our tongue is what sort of focuses the air. So we go from it's still a super relaxed exhale like I started with, but putting that tongue a little bit closer to the reed, a little bit higher in the mouth, that really gives that nice focus, that nice pressure to the air to get the really good support that we need to get the good vibrations out of the reed. And again, if you're focusing efficiently, using your embouchure efficiently, your equipment's working for you efficiently, then you can do that pretty good air support with 10% of your air capacity. I can breathe out and I still have quite a bit of strong focused air in there because I'm just exhaling freely from my lungs and diaphragm and through my throat. All of that's relaxed and free, and it's just the tongue that amplifies that and puts that little bit of extra pressure in there, that little focus to the airstream. So it's great that you're watching this and that you're thinking so much about how to breathe really correctly, but with so much of playing, including like our embouchure and tonguing and all of those things, I think the real moral of the story is just make it as natural as possible. It's good to have all of the ideas of how it goes, but remember when we're actually in the moment, we just want to like do it and just convey the music as naturally as possible rather than micromanaging it and thinking like, okay, I'm almost out of air here, so I'm gonna need to take a 30% breath here, and then that should get me like through these 3 measures, and then I'll take a 50% capacity breath there. Like, don't overcomplicate it, just breathe naturally. Our body knows how to breathe when we're talking. We don't think about when to take a breath when we're talking. So do make a plan for where you're gonna breathe, and you can watch my video of hierarchy of places to breathe. But once you have that plan, just like make the breathing itself as natural as possible. And if you really follow that plan, it will usually only be like 4 to 8 measures or so that you're gonna need to go without breathing, and you can sort of work that out and make it a very natural and relaxed breath, just as if you're talking. All right, I hope that helps. If this was helpful for you, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I upload tips every single week, and I also do a live weekly warm-up every single week as well. So there's tons of clarinet information and fun clarinet things for you to be going over here. And you can always leave comments with things that you're struggling with or things that you would like my advice on, and I will very likely make a video of them. So thank you again for watching, and I will see you in another video.